Thank you so much, and good afternoon, my fellow members and our distinguished guest who is not here yet, but we will wait. It's my pleasure to see you all here. The last time I saw most of you was the sponsor briefing 2020. I hope you remember that. I was 100% sure that 2021 annual meeting will be in person, but I was wrong. I'm not going to make any more predictions for the next annual meeting as well. I can understand the pandemic issue, but can you tell me what is going on with this winter? The first snow we had in October last year, and now we are expecting one on Monday, Tuesday. 172 days of winter. Well, that is the beauty of living in Kansas and Missouri. I'm still in jet lag. I came back from Pakistan a couple of days ago. I want to tell you that we are blessed that we are living in the United States. The nightmare of pandemic I have seen there is beyond words. I lost my dearest and closest family members by this deadly virus. I've seen funerals every day, and it is still going on. Kids under 10 are the new victims. A country with a population of 230 million have received only 500,000 of vaccine doses so far. When I compare that situation with USA, we are in much better condition, but we are not out of the woods yet. So hold on the celebrations, protect yourself and your children, because no one else will do it for you. I'm saying this because you are my family. I don't want to see anything happen to any one of you. I pray for you and for your families. Don't forget our objective, which is peace. And that can be achieved through our mission as citizen ambassadors. Our mission is to promote international understanding and friendship through educational, humanitarian, and cultural activities involving a broad range of direct contact with social distance. Exchange of ideas and experiences among the people of Kansas City and people of different countries and diverse cultures that will help to build an enduring world peace. I want to thank CGSC, IMSD staff for their support and generosity to help us whenever we need it. Mr. Bond will be available for any question following the procedural voting. So I'm not going to take a lot of your time. So I'm going to the second item on the agenda, which is a program report. And I will request our program Vice President Nancy Quitmire to go ahead and give us.
Can I share the screen now?
Yes, okay.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Yeah, we had a very different type of year than ever before, but I think we rallied and had quite a good turnout for our Zoom meetings. We had David Bourne, who was the new chair of the Field Study Program and Command at the Command and General Staff College, and he gave us an overview of what the year would look like at that point as much as he could. So it was nice to meet him and let the membership meet him. Then in January, that first one took place in November. Then in January, the officer from Bangladesh provided a circle of knowledge for us. I kind of tried to keep track about how many people at David Bourne's presentation. About 20 people attended. That was kind of the average amount of people that we had, which I think was pretty good. Then in February, we had a great presentation from the officer from Poland. She did a very nice job and answered a lot of questions, as all of them did. They were very forthcoming with responses to our questions. And then in March, we had Colonel Atala of Lebanon, who was a former CGSC officer. And he was from the class of 2011, 2012. So all of them were Zoom, but I think they were pretty well attended considering our circumstances. And so that's and then we're finishing up with our annual meeting today. Looking forward to next year. That's all I have on that.
Okay, the next item for 2020 annual meeting minutes, Don Fusion, please go ahead.
Thanks, Zahid. The annual meeting and other related chapter documents are out on the website. And even though they're not shown on your screen, they're available. They basically covered just a quick recap of the minutes from the previous year and a quick review of the financial commitments, and then the written overview from the various committees. So we're certainly open for any of the members to give us any questions that they may have, but I would point you to the website. Larry Headland does a very nice job of keeping us up to date with various activities, and once things are done, he puts them out there if we have the approvals to do so. So Zahid, that's all I would do unless there's any questions.
Are there any corrections, additions, or changes to the minutes? If none, I'm asking for a motion to approve the presented 2020 annual meeting minutes. Motion by
Jerry Raggett.
Okay, and who wants to second it?
Pat
Barry
Burnett.
Magnuson seconds it. Unless somebody beat me to it.
So all those who are in favor of approving the minutes of 2020, say aye.
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 And all those who are against, say no. So the minutes are unanimously approved. So the next item on the agenda is annual treasury report as we received. Marty Wilson, please.
Thank you, Zahid. As mentioned by Nancy, last year was a difficult year due to the pandemic. And as you can see, we have less income but also less expenses. And I wanted to point out that the $750 on 2019 is a grant that we give to spouses club to teach English as second language. And because there were not many officers and no spouses, we didn't have it in 2020. And everything else is very clear here. And if you have any question, you can contact me or contact Zahid. He will forward it to me. And it will be posted. This report will be posted on the website also. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are any question about the annual report, treasury report, please go ahead. And if there are no questions, I'm asking for a motion to approve the presented 2020 treasury report. Motion by
Randy Pace.
Second,
Jane Cole.
all those who are in favor of approving the Treasury report of 2020, say aye.
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 And all those who are against, say no. So the Treasury report of 2020 is unanimously approved. And we can go on the next item on the agenda, which is bylaws amendment. And bylaws, last time, I think Randy did the amendment, and then we went through this pandemic and there were some issues. So we have to take care of those. So Larry Hedlund will go through on these amended bylaws.
We made some general cleanup on the bylaws. There were a number of typos and consistency problems. The spelling of the word bylaws throughout the document was different in different spots, and capitalization was different in different places. So we cleaned all of that up. And we also cleaned up the outline format and the numbering system within the sections so that that's consistent throughout the document. We updated the bylaws to acknowledge the fact that we're keeping digital records as opposed to printed manuals and printed minutes and that kind of thing. We just felt like it was time to acknowledge the digital storage and the digital formats as well as the printed format. We also updated the fact that virtual meetings could be held not only by the board, but by the board's subcommittees for the military committee and communications, that kind of thing, because of the pandemic. And we also changed the terminology within the document itself, that the committees, the document originally, the bylaws called for any of the subcommittees to keep minutes, formal minutes of their meetings. And that really was not happening over the years. So we changed the bylaws to conform to the fact that the committees have always been giving reports to the board, but they are not keeping formal minutes. So we recognize that reality. The suggested changes in the bylaws are posted on the current website. So if anybody has any real questions about what we have changed, the original document is there with strikeouts on the parts that we were changing and red copy on the additional verbiage. If you have any questions, I guess you can come back to us and we can revisit the bylaws at that time. But I think that's all I have, unless somebody has some questions right now.
Any question, please? If there are no questions, I'm asking for a motion to approve the amended bylaws. Motion by?
I'll motion that we approve the bylaws.
And second?
Second by Randy Pace.
All those who are in favor of approving the amended bylaws, say aye.
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 And all those who are against, say no. So the motion to approve the amended bylaws is unanimously approved. And we can go to next item on the agenda, which is military report. And I will ask Sharon Vlasic to go and say something about that.
Okay. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, okay, great. All right, so we'll cover a little bit on the current class, the class of 2021, and then we'll move on to the next class of 2022. So for the current students, they started they've been working mostly virtually throughout the year, and they did start in-person classroom work just this past week on Monday, the 12th. So they'll have, a short time together really before they finish their year of study here. There is no sponsor appreciation event. That's no surprise. Early on in the year, IMSD had talked about trying to have that be maybe our first in-person event, but it's too early. So there won't be a sponsor appreciation event for this class. For those that are receiving awards, they will be sent to us, to the board here, and then we'll distribute them to the recipients. And transportation to the airport last year, also, you might recall that they really asked us not to accompany our families to the airport, which is a customary thing to do. But that is returning this year. So they are allowing us to, any sponsors who want to accompany their officer to the airport as they're departing may do so if they feel comfortable. So it's not something you must do, that the fort will provide for that if you're uncomfortable, or if any of this, the other two sponsors also are not comfortable, but you would be welcome to do that this year as opposed to the direction last year. And then the ceremonies, again, will be virtual this year. The information that we have so far is that the SAMS graduation will be on the 27th. The badge ceremony, which is what most of us take part in, will be on June 9th. And then the next day graduation is June 10th. And again, I'm expecting that we'll get the links or the information about how to join those virtual ceremonies, sometime, say, in the next month. I don't have a date when we're going to receive them, but we'll get them well in advance of the dates of these events. So now, any questions on the class of 2021 before I move to 2022? Okay, so for the class of 2022, good news, there are a lot more officers that we expect this year. Last year, or this current year, you probably know there's only around, I think it's 47 is what we ended up with. So there will be a lot more than that. The current number is 119, but the fort has told us that they expect there to be some change in that, meaning some countries may drop. And they've kind of given us a range of somewhere between about 95 to 110. So that's what we're expecting. So, more than double of what we have this year. As far as sponsorship, we've talked to most everyone already and have your interest and preferences already captured. But just to, a note, have a realistic assessment of how you believe you'll be able to fulfill your role. So what the fort has asked us, if you say you will sponsor this year, then do it, be all in, as long as you're comfortable. In other words, they really would prefer that we don't have sponsors who say, yes, I'll do this, and then after the first time they meet their officer, let's say, they are not comfortable and then do nothing for the rest of the year, or they change their mind. So it's okay if you change your mind now, or even after you said you'll sponsor, but do it early so that we can find another sponsor to take that officer. What we don't want is for the whole year to go by and there have been no interaction or no contact. So just, be as realistic as you can with your own comfort level and how you think you'll do as a sponsor. And then we always ask for your help in as we make assignments, to be flexible with country and family preferences, be willing to, forego that specific one country that you wish to have, and be flexible in what countries and family preferences you would be willing to take. And then we will again do our sponsor briefing this year virtually. We'll have a Zoom session. It's scheduled for June 10th. And we will email and send by US mail the sponsor assignments. And then there's also a sponsor handbook that the Fort puts together. And those handbooks are typically for new sponsors. They have a lot of great information, but it'll be a repeat for people that have done it for a number of years. However, if you either never got one, or even if you had one and you want to get another handbook, no problem at all, just let us know. So it's not exclusively for new sponsors. Anyone can get one, but we just make a point to make sure we send them to new folks and then anyone else who might request. The timeline for this next class, it's a little bit later than what we've been accustomed to. Usually, the badge ceremony is that first week in June for the outgoing class, and then the following week, new officers start to arrive. This year, they'll report on or around June 28th, and they'll go into a 14-day quarantine, just as they did this past year. So what the Fort is asking us to do is make sure that we have contact with our officers, especially during that quarantine period, but virtually, whether it's a Zoom or a FaceTime or Messenger or text or phone call, any number of those virtual options while they're in quarantine. Don't wait, in other words, to contact them until after quarantine. And then IMSD will do all the airport pickups. So we're asked not to go to the airport again for this class. The next thing, the next time, or really probably the first time you would be seeing your officer this year is at the icebreakers, if this holds. Right now they're tentatively scheduled to have an icebreaker, all the icebreakers, which there will be 4 of them. They're scheduled to have them in person, but that again could change depending on what happens with the pandemic. And then physical interaction and traditional IMSD sponsored events are going to be conducted as close to normal as possible, conditions dependent. So in other words, the food fair, a holiday dinner dance, sponsor appreciation next spring, their intent is to hold those events in person, again, conditions dependent. The pace of the course, similar to this year, will be more intense. So they'll have longer days on that first semester. So from the start in late August up through their winter break will be pretty intense, 6 to 8 hours. And we point that out because, try to have as much contact as you can, depending on your comfort level, between the time the quarantine ends. So that would be around July 11th, I believe, and up until, say, the end of August, before they really start to get busy with their classes. That's a really good time to develop the relationship, to have 2, 3, 4 outings when you're really getting to know your officer, because come September they're going to get really busy and they won't have as much time to get together with that intense classwork. The classes do start on August 23rd, which means that's the date of the flag ceremony. And then a couple slides on the LAC applications. Right now we're in the period where we're kind of doing onesie twosies, right? Anyone who possibly did not submit their application in the February timeframe, that's when people to people's time slot is to submit their application, but there's a few people that did not submit it during that month. So we're handling onesie twosies right now. And then also anyone who's brand new that's going to be sponsoring an officer this year, you can submit your LAC application as well now. All the instructions and the application is on our website. And then once you'll submit those to Pat Burnett or myself, and then we'll forward them on to the Fort for processing we'll get a notification back once they're approved, and then we notify you that now you can go to the Visitor Control Center to pick up your pass. That is, they're open from 7 to 4, Monday through Fridays. If you have a valid LAC now, you can get on base, but just they ask that people evaluate the requirement, and that's mostly due to just keeping things, the traffic down due to the pandemic. And visits between sponsors and the officers are encouraged based on individual requirements. So last year we said visits were not encouraged, but now they are. Just, be careful. Now, starting with this next rotation, and when I say next rotation, that's the cycle for people to people, which is February. There will be some changes this next year. They have asked us to submit applications early in December or January. They want all applications submitted no later than February 1st. So I think before we've said, sometime during the month of February, submit your application, it'll be processed, and then, you'll pick up later in February or in March. This year, you must submit by February 1st, and then they will process in February, and you'll be able to pick up sometime, right after, if it's a week that it takes them, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So sometime in February, we anticipate everything being approved. All of the dates, the end dates for the LAC passes will be February 28th. And I know that that's been an issue. It was an issue for us personally, and it has been for other sponsors, where even if you submitted in February, you might get a January date or a March date, or who knows what date you were going to get as an expiration. But now they've assured us that all of the expirations will be February 28th of any given year. So that's the biggest change really in this, is that you're going to submit your application earlier than you have been in the past. Any questions on the LAC or anything I've covered so far?
Yeah, Sharon, this is Barry Magnuson.
Yeah.
We did not, maybe went to junk mail or something. I know we didn't get our application in on time. Is that gonna hang up on any issues here once we get it in? Because I know in the past, if you don't get it in on time, there can be some hangups.
So if you mean you have an expired one now, you just didn't submit it in February?
Yeah, I think we were probably looking for it via email, and it probably went to junk or something like that.
Well, so you can still submit it. Go ahead and submit now, and they'll process it, and then you'll submit again in December or January for the following year.
Okay, but we sent it directly to you or Pat, correct?
Right.
Okay.
And as far as getting something in a notification or something that you think might have gone to your junk mail, the way that sponsors are notified about LAC applications are really simply reminders that come out as part of our MailChimp newsletter. So we don't email individual sponsors and say, hey, it's time for you to renew. We put it out in MailChimp for everyone. And because we're on a cycle of every February, so you can expect this year we'll do it earlier. So you can expect in the fall or in the December, January timeframe, we're going to be asking everybody to make sure you get your LAC application turned in.
Yeah, but we'll put a calendar reminder out there today. All right, thanks, Sharon.
Thanks, Barry. Okay, I'm just going to check here. Did David happen to join? Okay, so these are his slides. I will go ahead and do my best here.
Sharon?
Yeah.
Sharon, I just wondered if maybe we would have the sponsors present now in case he joins us later. I don't know.
That's probably a good idea, Nancy. Let's bypass, because I also reached out to Sean, and he's trying to contact David as well.
And I tried contacting him too, and I forwarded him the link and everything. So hopefully he'll be here by the end.
Yeah, so I think that's a good idea. Let me just go forward to, do you want to do the election stuff first and the membership, or do you want to go directly to the other sponsors?
We can do that. We can do the election things, I
Okay.
think, and get that taken care of. And
Yeah, perfect. That would be Karen.
Okay, so the Karen Haber, the membership report and the election result, please.
Okay, at the end of 2020, as you can see on the slide, we had 137 member units, and to date, 113. Let me explain a couple of things. One, a membership unit is each membership. So for example, my husband and myself, even though we are two people, we are one membership unit, especially for those of you who are new, to explain that. We have had some folks drop out if they haven't been sponsoring with COVID, but I think our numbers will continue to climb. I did send reminders out, particularly with the invitation to the annual meeting, some via email, some via mail, to members who had not paid their 2021 dues. And some of those have been taken care of and more trickling in. But again, current numbers are 113. We do have several new members, some of whom are on this call, and I want to welcome them. I'm not going to name names because I'm afraid I'll miss somebody. But again, welcome to the new members who are just joining us. We appreciate that very much. Does anyone have any questions on membership at the current time? Okay, if we could move on, Sharon, to the ballot. I'll take care of that as well. Everyone has received the ballot by mail and sometimes by email as well, and you've seen it in conjunction with our MailChimp newsletters. The ballot is here. I have received ballots via email and at the Greater Kansas City People mailbox. And I will turn it over to Zaid to request a motion. Zaid, you're on mute.
Anybody have any question about the ballot or voting?
I wondered if we want maybe to just have everybody say hello that's running for an office, or just so people can put a face to a name.
Okay.
Good idea. Let me real quickly mention some changes. Marty has chosen to step down as treasurer and Sharon Johnson is coming in. Larry Hedlund moved to third vice president administrative. The rest of that top tier stayed the same. Pat and Jerry, Jane, Tim, and Stan are all continuing as directors. And we are very pleased to have Michael Wisniak, Irina, and Candace join us. I don't think I missed anybody. I hope not.
Okay. So if there are no questions, I'm asking for a motion to approve the 2021 officials and board members. Motion by?
This is
Randy
Jerry, moving to approve.
And second?
Randy Pace.
All those who are in favor of approving the 2021 officials and board of directors complete slate, say aye.
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 And all those who are against, say no. So the motion is approved unanimously. And I will go line by line. President and Vice President Membership Karen Haber, Vice President Program Nancy Quidmere, Vice President Administrative Larry Hugden, Treasurer Sharon Johnson, Secretary Don Fusion, Military Chair Liaison Sharon Vlasic, Director, term expiring 2022, Pat Burnett, Director, expiring term 2022, Jerry Raggett, and for the term expiring in 2023, Director Jan Wagner, Director Tim Urban, and Director Michael Wisniak, and term expiring 2024, Director Irina Kovzwa Polvik. I'm sorry if I mispronounced. Director Candice McField and Director Stan Shipman. So thank you so much for joining the team. And now I will request Nancy, you go and ask the new sponsors who want to share their experience.
Yes, and I don't know, actually, I can't see everyone that's on, so I don't know if they're all here or not, but if not, then we'll move on to the next one. We tried to ask a variety, a new sponsor and someone that had a little experience and someone that was quite experienced. We thought it would be interesting to get their take on what sponsoring was like this year, since we couldn't, so many of us couldn't sponsor. And, you know, anything they did, especially to help the relationship, to enhance that. So I will just call on Steve and Hannah Fuller if they're here. Are they?
Sharon, if you take the slides down so everybody can see everybody.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey.
Are the Fullers here?
Yes.
Oh, there they are. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, you can start.
Oh, okay, yeah, we've had wonderful luck this year with our Pakistani student. It's just been very simple and easy, but perhaps part of it is we started out real early. Probably for the first week, we could get a hold of him. I think we got two.
Go ahead.
From the very first week, we could talk to him, I offered just to come up and see him. So I think and he was very welcoming. And I think I came up and I offered, he didn't have a car at the time. So I offered just to drive up and see him there at the base. And then eventually, I think the second or third time I brought him here to our house. And he was a little reluctant. I think his wife was a little shy with his wife and kids. So it might have taken us 2 or 3 visits. And eventually, then I let my wife take over. She ended up inviting her. My wife's a yoga teacher. So she invited the wife to a yoga, to her online Zumba class.
She's doing her yoga. She's doing her, I mean, this is a Pakistani lady. I'm not expecting, not that, you know, Zahid. What I mean, you know, I don't think yoga in Pakistan is, you know, a popular, or, you know, maybe your president can explain it more, but yeah, I mean, she's pretty new, but she's enjoying the time. We've been out. She wants to meet more of my friends, and I think it helps, you know, when you really reach out, when they reach out to you, and I reach out to them. So I think that's, you know, we benefit more actually than we travel a lot too. So we kind of visit also people that we've been, or I mean, when people that we, you know, like we met through your program, people to people. Yeah, people to people. So anyway, yeah, so it is more of our benefit.
Yeah, so it's just been a real dream. They've been real easy, and they want to meet as many different people, and we do as many different situations. I took him, matter of fact, to my wife's book club.
Yeah,
And so we just a whole variety of things between the art gallery and the plaza and blah, blah, blah. So we'll surrender and let somebody else talk, but it's very, very enjoyable this year.
And not just this year. Can I add, like the Nigerian, like in the past we had, you know, we had other from different countries. Anyway, one of the ladies is into dancing. So it's just like, I love dancing. So anyways, just one of those things where it's not just the military or whatever, you know, it's also the family, the wife. So yeah, we get to involve and really, yeah, really get the home, what is it? Like the welcoming, the family, community, I would say, because they look forward to my book club. I mean, not that they read. I mean, not that she reads. What I mean, she probably would love to, but she has 2 kids. So yeah, things like that. She's looking forward to coffee meeting with my friends. And because, yeah, yeah. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's more our benefit.
Thank you so much.
Anybody have a question or two or not? Shall we move on or? Okay. And then we have Nahida and Bahram Randanik. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Are they with us? Okay, maybe not. They sponsored Bosnia and Herzegovina, and they were new sponsors. So we thought we would include them, but apparently they weren't able to get on. Next we have Wasim and Andrea Khan, and I know they're here. They sponsored Kenya, and we'd like to hear a little bit about their experience.
Salams, everybody. We had a wonderful time. This was like deja vu for me, especially I am from Kenya, and I got to host somebody from Kenya. The most amazing thing was to see somebody that has not been to the United States, and the first cultural experience they go through, the taste of the food, the smell. And we got to visit with Daniel from day one until his family got here. The culture shocks that I went through, I could see Daniel experiencing those. The changing of the weathers, going to Sam's Club, that was an experience of its own. The jaw just dropped, and the guy couldn't believe. The wife looked at him and said, "You better be coming home with a lot of these things." So it was really nice. And then the Daniel himself is such an amazing gentleman that we learned a lot from him during this visit. And talking to him and getting him ready for winter, that was another thing. When I told him about how cold it was going to get, he did not understand what I meant until it got cold. And Zaid, you said it's the only place in the world that we get 4 seasons in one day. And Daniel literally experienced that.
Yeah.
From coming to the country when it was dark green, and then picking his family up when it was like dry, and then before leaving, I mean, it was an experience and a half. We got to take him to the African stores. We shopped with them. His driving experience, driving on the first time on the wrong side of the road, which actually is the right side of the road, that was priceless. I mean, being in the military, I think this is what shows you how resilient the soldiers are. They adapt really fast. It took me forever, the first time I came, to drive. I was so scared to drive because everything was just humongous. Everything was big. And then the best thing that Daniel told me, said, and this was during Black Lives Matter and stuff. He goes, "Wow, I didn't expect America to be so angry." This was something that he had not experienced. He looked at America as a very civilized, not that we are not. Utopia. Yeah, utopia, until he got here. And what they see over in Africa of us is not what he experienced. That was life changing for him. He said he had never seen such an angry place in his tour. And that was quite interesting. And then he was so much into politics, and we had some really nice discussions. And this is the beautiful thing about Daniel was they were not arguments, they were discussions. This was where I loved every moment of his questionings about Republicans, Democrats, liberals, why we don't wear masks, why we want to. It was just quite intriguing. You met with the family too.
You've talked about the whole thing almost, but
yeah,
but no, it was very interesting getting his view on things. And granted, it was, I think this will go down as a very chaotic time in our history. But listening to it through the filters of his eyes and his experience was very interesting for us. And in some ways it was I think a blessing for us to have somebody from Kenya at this time, because it made it very easy through the pandemic to, it's like with the other hosts, there was a welcome basket put together, but we went out and got the Kenyan tea and some of those things. So our job was a little bit easier this time because of that, but I think it helped facilitate us being able to really make a connection with him and his family, who was only here for 2 months, but it was a nice experience.
And I'm hoping that Daniel will climb up the ranks. So when I go back home, I have a brother that will pick me up with a military convoy. we really bonded, honestly. He's become part of my family. We have exchanged numbers. I do look forward going back to Kenya when the travel will be right. But he is insisting that once I get there, I first call him and he wants to come pick me up from the airport. So I love the bond that we have created. And thank you.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much. Does anybody have a question or for the cons?
I'm just curious if you found either of you, Fullers or cons, if you found some challenges because of COVID, and how did you navigate that?
Yes, my mom lives with us, who's immune system is compromised. So in the beginning, it was quite difficult. We have been quarantined over a year. We leave our home when we need to go to get the essentials and stuff. But having the understanding with Daniel, when we went to visit him, I already spoke to him, and then language barrier, speaking the language itself helped me explain to him in Swahili what we were going through. It was really helpful. So I didn't have to translate it in English. So that helped. And then when we went to visit him, the guy went above and beyond, that his place was clean. He had his mask on. I mean, he told us that he understood. So the chat.
Well, plus some of the other interactions when we were showing it, when he did get to go to Sam's Club and we're showing where it was he and his family in their car and we were in our car. My introduction to the family was through the car window because I was standing outside of their car, but we were still able to make those connections, but it was definitely distanced and different. And in fact, there was one day when he was looking for something and he called Wasim because he was lost. So Wasim went to find him and got him where, but it was in 2 cars following that way. So it was very much socially distanced the whole time. And unfortunately, we did not have them to our home, but we did go to Leavenworth and he lived off base and we were able to visit them up there. I went there a few times. Wasim's mom got to meet him, but again, she was in our car and he came out to the parking lot. But so it was what would normally be expected to be awkward maybe, but because they were so gracious and so warm and so friendly, it was just a very genuine connection and interaction. So it ended up being a very positive thing and not just a weird thing.
That's great. How about you, Steve or Hannah? Did you have any?
I think before, answering that, this is a funny kind of almost, I don't know about funny, but anyway, our guy, the family is so almost like, happy actually with this pandemic because, one reason why, I think they're happy is because he is extended in, I think it's like over a year of staying here in the US.
A second year.
Yeah, like a second year instead of going, so it's like, for him, like, a good, and I can see that being, not being from here originally. So having that extension of experience and, so I don't know about the pandemic really.
I don't think it really affected us that much.
Yeah, because we would still go, we made sure we go out with them outside. So not inside. So we're pretty much a go, kind of. So, and they are too, because they're much younger and with kids. So I don't know, maybe a little, you know, but we still get in touch with a regular meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you to the sponsors that shared, and I don't think the other ones joined us. So we'll, and as far as I know, David hasn't been able to connect with us. I'm not sure if there's anything else.
Can I?
Oh, Sean,
Can I-
Sean is on.
Okay.
Sorry, Zaid, you just came back from Pakistan, and I want the audience here to understand the reality on the ground. I have lost 11 members now of my family, and it's only getting worse. So I'm wondering, can we do something from here as an organization where we can send masks, gloves, sanitizers? These are things that are really needed all around the world. Can we do something as an organization? I have partnered with a manufacturer locally in Kansas City. I'm wondering if there's something we can do, because right now the situation in Kenya is horrific. There's stench of death in the air. People are dying, hospitals are overwhelmed, and this is their third wave, and it's only getting worse. And Zaid, you saw firsthand what's happening in Pakistan. Can we somehow, sorry about that. Can we somehow maybe do something as a community? Because I'm feeling defeated right now. It's overwhelming for me, and I can only see situation getting worse. Maybe this is a talk for another day, but I just wanted to put this out there right now. Thank you.
I would suggest that we connect with PTPI. I know that all around the world they have connections and chapters, and there might be a way that we can connect with them to make something happen.
I think that's a good suggestion.
So is Sean here?
I believe so. Sean, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Hi, Sean.
Excellent.
Hello.
Thanks for joining. I'm going to share the slide deck again. Dave, I don't know if you saw the slides that that David submitted, but there's about 4 of them. So let me share this slide deck again, and then we'll pick back up.
Maybe Sean can do a little introduction for himself so everybody knows how he's related.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So my name's Sean Madsen. I've worked with IMSD for a little bit over 3 years now. Many of you would have seen me because I'm usually the guy that's standing at the door for when we get together and have food for the potlucks and for the dinner dances and that kind of thing. But yeah, I love this program. You guys do so much, and it was cool to hear a little bit about your experiences working with the IMS. I look at those reviews and those surveys, and the students are so appreciative to you sponsors and the efforts that you guys make. And it's such an awesome, such an amazing program that we have and we get to be a part of. This year obviously has been very different from the past, but you still are making very meaningful impacts and forging relationships that can last for the rest of our lives. And I thank you. As far as Blacks go, to gain access to the base, moving forward, we've already changed a little bit. We're asking your organization to submit those LACs digitally, and you guys have done overall a fantastic job with that. And it's really helping to streamline that process. When you're able to send in a LAC digitally, we're able to push it forward that much faster. Moving forward, we would like to have the LACs submitted by February 1st. And that again will help us with our process. If the LACs are submitted in January or earlier even, they will be valid from February until the next year. So the expiration date is going to be February 28th every single year. So by completing that your LAC, we will give you access to the base for that entirety of a year. And that will help our base, the VCC, Visitor Control Center, because they are very busy during these spring months. And so during April, May, June, the VCC at Fort Leavenworth is so busy dealing with movers that they really don't want us to be submitting the LAC applications at these times. So, and same thing with our office as well. IMSD is very busy during the spring months with all of our events, going to Washington, DC, doing the badge ceremony, doing the sponsor recognition. And then summer, as you all know, our FSP is so busy going on these trips. So as much as possible, we're trying to get all that work done in January or even before. But with your help and effort, obviously you'll have new sponsors that come on board and they will want to have a LAC before December, and we'll deal with those on a case by case. But in general, this will greatly help us to complete the LACs in a timely manner and allow us to do that when the VCC has more availability as well.
Sean, I'm going to move to the next, or David's first slide there.
Okay. So as you can see, this is our field studies program plan for this next year. And, or actually this is this year, so excuse me. So these are the events that we held this year. And all of these events that you can see, they'll have virtual or live next to them. And we're able to hold these events through different mediums such as Zoom, like what we're on now, or GoToMeeting or WebEx. So the ones that are in orange, those are the ones that we completed. And the ones that are in black, those are the events that we have yet to complete. And you can see in this slide, these are the events for the future. So that next year's class, these are the things that we're going to be doing with them. So we are going to have a much busier summer than we had last year. And we're hoping to do all these things live. So unless it says virtual next to it. So yeah, but you can see we're trying to do our FSP program live. So that'll be different. Obviously, everything that we say is going to be live is pending, but that is our plan. And here you can see more events for FSP. And again, we're planning on doing all of these events live. So you can see for yourself, they're basically all very self-explanatory. For those that are new, we have the fall food and spring food fair events, and that's where you can come and meet your officer and bring a food, and we will have a great smorgasbord of every kind of food represented, every kind of nation. Everyone will bring their own traditional food, dress up in traditional clothing, and it's an amazing experience. Also, the holiday dinner dance. We're planning on having those too, and that's a little bit more formal, but there's a lot to look forward to in this next year. So we should have more interactive experience as far as sponsorship goes. So you can see the class of 2022 and the countries that are represented next to each of the countries. Some of them have two. That means there's going to be 2 officers that are coming from that specific country.
I think that's it. That's what David provided.
Okay.
I do see that I think I made a mistake, so I want to point that out because I think I put in my slide the wrong date for this year's badge ceremony. I put the 9th and 10th, and that's actually the 2022. Believe it's, if I can pull it from the other slide, I believe it's the 17th and the 18th. So let me just double check that. So let me go to your first there. So badge ceremony at the bottom of this slide is the 17th of June and the graduation is the 18th of June. I mistakenly put in the next year, the class of 2022 dates in my slide. So it's the 17th is the badge ceremony. That's the one you want to focus on for anybody who's got an officer this year. And anybody can participate. You don't have to have an officer. It's kind of fun to just see the ceremony and who all is graduating and see them get their badge. So again, we'll put out the link to join that once we have it from IMSD. Does anyone have questions for Sean?
I have a question, Sharon. Michael Wisniak here.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if Sean can talk to us about whether the base actually has plans in vaccinating the officers as they come. Is that a mandatory item? Is that something that's each individual gets to choose? I'm just curious about how that's handled for the officers.
You're talking about for next year's class?
Yes.
I don't have a date for when those will become available, vaccinations. As you know, is available for this year's class. So we had a day assigned where they could show up and receive their shot. It was actually on one of our virtual FSP days, but at this point, I personally don't have a date for when the new class is going to be vaccinated. But
I think, Sean, what you're saying is that there will be some date that the fort will provide as an opportunity for the new officers to get vaccinated if they're not already vaccinated when they arrive.
At this point, I don't have a plan on I'm not sure if they're planning on doing that. What I can speak of is the fact that this year's class, the IMS were given the opportunity to receive a vaccination if they wanted it. So they received, so they received their shot through Munson, and they were able to do that free of charge.
Does that include their families, Sean?
I'm not positive on that. Yes. Yeah.
Eric Schoenberg, I had a question as well. Is it possible for sponsors to attend the staff ride?
We've actually never done that. We've never had sponsors go on a staff ride. I've never seen it once, so I'm sure there's been sponsors that have wanted to. If you have a very strong argument, you might bring it up with Mr. David Bourne, my manager, but personally, I've never seen a sponsor attend an event. So Are you speaking of the Civil War Mine Creek?
Yeah, I'm looking at the local ones. I mean, I'd love to do Gettysburg with a bunch of professional officers, but I understand the logistics of that are much more difficult.
Definitely.
I mean, I'd be willing to make my own way there, quite honestly, if I were allowed to participate. But this is local. I mean, Westport is, you know, is local. So, I mean, I would love the opportunity. I'm probably not alone among the sponsor group. They'll love the opportunity to just, you know, be in the back of the crowd and learn something.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to say like you definitely can or anything like that. Like I said, I've never seen it happen. That doesn't mean it's impossible. So I would imagine also that there are many sponsors that would like to participate. So at this point, I guess my thought is it's probably no, but I'll reach out to Mr. Bourne and see what he thinks. If you want to give me your name, then I'll be happy to reach out to you and let you know what he says.
I'll put it in the chats.
Sure.
Thank you.
No problem.
Anyone else have questions for Sean?
Okay, Sharon.
Well, I want to, just before you go to closing, I personally want to thank Sean very much for jumping on. He was not planning to attend today, so I'm guessing that you don't run around on Sunday afternoons in a white shirt and a tie. So thank you for filling in. We really appreciate it.
No problem. It's always a good time to spend time with your organization.
Thanks, Sean.
No problem. Good to be with you.
Okay, Sharon, you can turn the slides down, I think, now.
Okay.
So I can see all the faces, smiling faces again. So now the board and officials are elected, and it's time to start with new ideas and goals. And I have high expectations from our new board members, Candice, Arena, Michael. I just I'm waiting for your ideas because you have a lot of energy and a lot of talent. So after this, I will give you floor to introduce yourself, Michael, Arena, Candice, and Sharon, our new trainer, if you want to say something about your personal experience and life and what you want to do. Arena, go ahead, please.
Sure. Hi, everybody. So I'm Irina, and I guess the term, when was it, 2024 is until I'm staying on. So it'll be plenty of time for you all to practice my last name. It's Kobzeva Pavlovich. I'm originally from Russia, but I've been in Kansas City since '98, so quite a while. And I love this city. I love our international community. I've been on board of directors of a few organizations here, including Sister Cities and Greater Kansas City People to People previously as well. So I'm really happy to be back. I have lots of ideas, lots of hopefully programming we can throw in. I know it's been challenging with COVID and all, but I think you guys have done a really great, tremendous job staying up with all online meetings and things of that sort. And then, of course, the officer sponsorship is just a beautiful program. My husband and I have been sponsoring for so many years now, and we've made lifelong friendships, definitely, with all of the officers, and have traveled to their countries sometimes, and they welcomed us there. And it was very, very heartwarming to hear the stories of the new sponsors. It's very, very sweet, very, it's a wonderful program. So I'm really excited to be on. And if I haven't met you, I'd be glad to get to know you better. Thank you.
Candice?
Go.
Go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Candace McField. It's a pleasure to be back on the board with People to People. It's been some years since I've been on the board, but I've been involved, I think, with People to People probably since 03 or 04. And at that point, I served on the board for 5 years and then took a break. And then, but this year is like my 12th officer. So excited. I know a lot of you, eager to see you in person here soon as we can get back to that. But like I said, I'm just excited to be back involved with People to People. It's definitely part of my heart, and I love being a sponsor and just making, like everybody said, just these lifelong friendships. And to the sponsors that had Kenya, and you're hoping that your officer rises up in ranks. So I can tell you that I sponsored Kenya in 06, and then in 2015 I went to Kenya, and it would just so happen that he's now a brigadier, and so he had his celebration when I was there, and it was just so amazing to be there for that celebration, knowing that I sponsored him like in 06, and he was at whatever rank then, to see him rise up. So love People to People, and like I said, I'm just glad to be back. So looking forward to seeing everybody.
Okay, thank you. Michael Wisniak.
Sure. Hello, I'm Michael Wisniak. This is my wife, Megan Wisniak.
Hi, Megan.
If you're curious, the last name's Ukrainian. I come from a Ukrainian-American family, raised in an ethnic environment. As far as coming on the board, I think that Kansas City, the greater Kansas City area, has just some real gems. And when we look at two of the world-class institutions that we have here in Kansas City, this organization is really combining two of them: People to People International, headquartered here, obviously, but then also the Command and General Staff College. I just think these are just such important institutions here. I'm a veteran myself, and so I have a certain empathy and appreciation for our military officers. And I also like to get very involved in the Kansas City community. I, like Irina, have been on a variety of boards, whether it's the International Relations Council, Sister Cities, and some others. So I'm just excited to be a part of this organization. I've only been on for 2 years, my wife and I now, sponsoring. So as far as new ideas, I'm sure I will have some coming, but I think I need to sit back and listen a little first on the board and learn a little bit more before I start jumping in with my thoughts.
Thank you. And is Sharon Johnson here?
Yes, I'm here. My husband, Bob, and I have been involved with People to People for about 14 years. This year will be our 12th officer, and we look forward to that. We missed it so much last year. I've been involved with several boards, including Global Ties KC, which has also afforded us the opportunity to host and meet people from all over the world. And for some reason, our specialty became Ukrainian delegates. So they're a favorite, but who knows what officer we will have this year. I hope that I can live up to the great treasures that you have had in the past, and look forward to being more involved in the organization.
Thank you so much. And I will request Marty Wilson, Marty, to say something. Marty is leaving the board due to his personal engagements, but she will be still sponsoring, and we will enjoy her advice and help anytime we need. So Marty, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Zahid and everyone in the board. It has been really pleasure to serve you as a treasurer. And I'm sorry I have to step down, but Sharon I spoke to Sharon. I think I think she's more experienced than me doing all of this. She's really good. So you are in a good hand. Thank you, Sharon, for taking the job. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Marty.
Thanks, Marty.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Marty.
Thanks, Marty. Take care.
Thank
So-
you.
So as Sean mentioned, that we have a busy year ahead and we have to work hard to achieve our goals. Our great leader, President Dwight Eisenhower, once said, you have got to have something in which to believe. You have got to have leaders, organizations, friendships, and contacts that to help you to believe that and to help you to put out your past. At the same time, I would like to thank all the chapter members for electing me as president with trust and confidence for the third term. It's an honor, but also a huge responsibility, which will make me strive my best to uphold your trust. I will need your help and cooperation in this process. We are going through a very crazy time of COVID-19, and it is not over yet. So please keep checking in with your officers to see if they need your help. I also request to please participate in our new series of presentations, Circle of Knowledge, and welcome the distinguished officers from around the world. These presentations are not only great to learn about other countries, but also to establish relationships. Most likely this year, again, we will be doing these presentations through Zoom. If things change, then we'll go in person. And I would like to congratulate our newly elected board and officials, which including Karen Hubbard, Nancy Quidmere, Larry Hedlund, Sharon Johnson, Don Fusen, Pat Burnett, Jerry Reggett, Jane Cole Wagner, Tim Urban, Mike Wisniak, Arena, Candice McField, Stan Chipman, and Sharon Rossick. And I would say that our relationship with the officers and current and previous lifelong friendship, we have to continue that and establish that relationship and cherish it. And we should not forget our previous officers, like Candice mentioned that 10 years, 15 years, a lot of people probably sponsored 25 years ago. So if you establish that relationship, that is just priceless. Imagine that the current Prime Minister of Singapore, Michael sponsored the Singapore officer, I think last year or a year before, and the Prime Minister of the Singapore was the student of CGSC. And if you have a relationship with those officers and they become the head of state, imagine that your contribution and your relationship can play what kind of role on world stage. So this 1 year of sponsorship, just use the best you can, because you will never get that opportunity to establish the relationship with that officer again in entire life. So once you establish good relationship, and that can last and that can make a big change on the world stage, and you can make a big, huge difference. So I am proud of you all, your dedication, your hard work, and without this organization is nothing. This organization is because of you, your hard work and your dedication, and your love to serve this country and serve this army, and being a citizen ambassador. So I appreciate your help, and I will expect you to help each other like a family and stick together and defeat this pandemic and come up more stronger. So thank you so much for your help, and I hope we will have better year and we will forget our past pandemic and everything. And as Randy, he is my mentor. I always call him whenever I need to check, and experience counts. And I appreciate all those previous presidents and members, and they are great help for this organization and for me and for all the board members. Thank you so much. And I hope that, and one person I forgot to mention, and it is very important to mention Gary Lovestone, who is the face behind the newsletter, MailChimp, and many other projects. You don't see him, but he is.
There he is.
Here he is.
Here. Thank you so much, Gary. And I appreciate your work. And it's very, very dedicated work. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So thank you all. And I will see you in the board meeting or the next sponsor briefing and other events.
That will be June 10th. I believe we've established that now. So put that on your calendar.
Right.
So
Nice job, Zahid. Very nice
thank you so
job.
much, sir. Thank you so much.
Wonderful meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Great to
Thank
see
Thank you for a
everybody.
warm welcome.
Good to see you, Randy.
Take care.
Have a great day, everyone. Thanks.
Hey, Sean, thank you for all you
See
do.
ya, Irina.
No problem.
Hi, Irina.
Hi, Tim.
Thanks, everybody.